Update: spouse is a groomsman, his ex a bridesmaid, but I'm not invited? Original post: Hey all, need some advice on how I should proceed. My husband is a groomsman to his childhood friend's wedding. The bride is best friends with my husband's ex, though he dumped her months before even meeting me, and the bride has obviously asked said ex to be a bridesmaid. I've only met the bride and groom a couple times in passing, and I've never met the ex. But thanks to mutual friends, I do know the ex was regularly creeping me online up until quite recently. So with all that being said, yesterday we received the formal invitation and is addressed only to my husband. I'm not mentioned anywhere. There's nothing about A+1. My husband, bless his heart, assumed it was an oversight and texted the groom to see if I was actually invited. And the groom responded along the lines of, "Oh, I guess it would be really awkward for X, but if she really wants to come, I guess she can." I personally have no interest going to the time and expense of attending a wedding where I'm clearly not welcome. And my husband has said he will just back out of the wedding. But it's only about 3 months away. And as offended as I am not sure this justifies my husband potentially ending an almost 2-decade-long friendship with the groom. I'm genuinely not sure how to proceed. Please help y'all. Now for the top comments. So that's not only rude because you are his wife, but also because as a groomsman, really he should get to invite someone regardless of relationship. I don't blame you for not wanting to go, but I would have a conversation with your husband about options. Do you want to just not go and let him go? Do you want him to have a more frank conversation with the groom about how it's quite disrespectful of your relationship to cut you out and make you feel unwelcome? I get there are complex relationship issues here, but it's a pretty stupid move of the groom to not invite his groomsman's wife. Or was this a steamroll decision by the bride? Sorry you're dealing with this, but it sounds like you're approaching it as level-headedly as possible, which is all you can do. I am assuming it's a bridal steamroll. I've only met her a couple times, but she seemed like the loud/bossy type, whereas the groom is very quiet and timid. And I'm trying to be level-headed about it, but I feel myself losing my cool the more I think about it. I would understand them doing this if I were some local home-wrecking hussy, but I'm not. My husband broke up with the ex, then moved to a new state, my state, and that's when and where we met. There was no overlap or shady behavior. I understand that breakups suck, and I think it's good a bride was in her friend's court, but it's been over 6 years since the breakup. It's time to move on. With all that being said, I think my husband is going to call the groom later in the week once this isn't so fresh, and see if they can talk it out. I agree with the commenter above. You're his wife and he is a groomsman. Husbands and wives should be invited together. It's rather silly for them not to be, as you two will likely be together for the rest of your lives. I will say though, you are taking this well and going about this very level-headed. I think I'd be a little more heated should my husband be asked to join a wedding party with his ex and then I also am not included whatsoever. Strange circumstances that sound like they involve rather petty people. I think I'm only holding it together because I don't know the bride and groom well. I would be much more upset if they were a couple I knew and cared about. I'm highly offended and very unimpressed by this couple and the way they conduct themselves. But more than anything, I'm upset at them doing this to my husband. My husband has been an extremely loyal friend to the groom for going on 20 years. So I think this is really hurting my husband. And if you hurt my husband, I'm coming for you. You and your husband are a social unit. You are not a +1. I can't believe this couple wants your husband to celebrate their new marriage while completely disrespecting your marriage. Especially since he's a groomsman. Exactly. This is beyond rude. You're not a girlfriend or a +1. You're a missus. There's no inviting one without the other. This is a huge disrespect not only to you, but to your husband and your marriage. I would be speaking with my husband to reconsider being in the wedding at this point. Now for the first update. Hey all, a bunch of people asked me to follow up once my husband spoke with the groom. So I'm just creating a new post rather than try to respond to everyone individually. Recap? My husband was asked to be a groomsman in an old friend's wedding. I've only met the bride and groom a couple times. My husband's ex is a bridesmaid. I've never met the ex. I was not invited due to it making the ex uncomfortable. Anyway, my husband called the groom up last night and the convo went as well as it could under the circumstances. My husband explained to the groom that we are a team, a social unit, and used what a lot of you guys said about the bride and groom asking him to celebrate their relationship as they disrespected ours, etc. The groom said he never intended to hurt or offend us, and hadn't thought through the situation well enough and realized how stupid and ignorant it was. Apologized profusely and said of course I was invited and they would love to have me. Their original reasoning, as told to my husband then repeated to me, is that the ex always thought my husband would move back home and get back together with her. So even though they were broken up well before the two of us met, she didn't fully believe their breakup was permanent until we got engaged. And it kind of feels like he chose me over her and never got closure. And she didn't want to be around a girl she lost to. And so, because the bride and groom live in the same small town as the ex and spent a lot of time with her, they thought it would be an easy way to keep the peace by just not having me come, and figured I wouldn't care to attend the wedding anyway since I barely know them. I believe the groom was genuinely clueless about the etiquette, and I believe his apology was sincere. I am not convinced the same is true of the bride, but I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. The solution we came to is this. We will both attend the church ceremony, him as a groomsman, me as a guest, so that he can stand up with his friend. Then we will both skip the reception to avoid any uncomfortable situations for anyone, and go have a romantic weekend to ourselves. The groom was disappointed my husband wouldn't be there for all the festivities, but was very understanding and apologetic, and is planning a trip out to see us after the honeymoon. As a petty woman myself, I approve of your plan. I'm happy to hear your husband stood up for you and your relationship to his friend, and that there was a somewhat happy ending. Haha, I'm glad someone understands the art of subtle pettiness. I just figure it's ideal for these types of run-ins to be planned. I once ran into one of my own exes right after I got out of the gym, and I'm not the kind of girl who goes to the gym in makeup and pink spandex. I looked a mess. So I'm glad I can at least look fabulous for this particular run-in. Already planning on a pale lavender silk A-line cocktail dress with accessories. It shows off my body but in a very sophisticated and classy way. So I will look amazing but won't give anyone a reason to gossip, lol. Yes! I was not surprised to hear that this couple/ex live in a small town, to be honest. I'm from a small town. Left when I was 18 though, and my husband's family is from a small town. And the drama is non-freaking stop. Even within their own family, which they somehow managed to spill into our wedding. But that's another story for another time, lol. I will never understand it, and it just makes the drama manufacturers look ridiculous to everyone else. Do you? Be fabulous, be gracious, and maybe even splurge a bit on a gift to the bride and groom for that extra kick. Good idea. I'm on the registry right now actually. I was thinking of doing 2 of the higher-end items they registered for, one from each of us. Leaning towards getting them the KitchenAid and a down comforter. I just want you to know that I went to bed last night, and as the total normal person that I am, thought to myself, I can't wait to find out if that one girl's husband's ex is about to be wildly disappointed. Ha ha ha, you're my spirit twin. That's awesome. And yeah, my husband is angry as he does not tolerate drama/immaturity like this. So if she's expecting some amazing reunion or storybook closure, she's gonna be really disappointed. He's just going to primarily ignore her. And if there's a situation where he can't tactfully do so, he's just going to act like he barely remembers her. Willing to bet that drives her insane. And I know she's probably hoping I seem better online than in real life, but she's going to be disappointed there too. I have a strong pageant background, so I know how to carry and present myself. Pageants also taught me how to dress my body type and do my hair/makeup to flatter me best. Also doesn't hurt that I am 5'10", size 2 with natural D cups. This is not to say that I think I'm so much better than her. My husband wouldn't have dated her in the first place if she were some evil troll. I just know how women are, and she's already revealed how insecure and petty she is. And I know how to work with that. So it's not that I'm so much better than her. I'm just making her think I am. Because I'm petty too. Just more skilled at a petty execution than she is. Lol. Now for the second update. Wow, totally forgot to update. My bad. It was really uneventful and drama-free, so no crazy stories. The groom called my husband less than 2 weeks before the wedding, more or less begging us to reconsider and come to the reception. We decided to just get over it, so hubby agreed to go to the reception and I stuck with my original plan to attend the ceremony only. Ceremony was nice and simple. Hubby escorted the groom's sister, not the ex. Yay! It looked like they overestimated attendance because there were a lot of empty seats. I would say a little less than a third empty. After the ceremony, I headed back to the hotel and relaxed in the hot tub and caught up on some reading. Hubby went with the bridal party to do photos, then went to the reception. He said the reception was pretty underwhelming. The food slash toast slash cake slash first dance etc. were all pretty rushed, and a good chunk of people left shortly after that. Hubby also left as soon as all the traditions were out of the way, so he doesn't know if it picked up at all. He didn't say anything to the ex aside from a polite greeting, and the ex didn't try to approach him, so no drama there. It was pretty much just a typical, kind of boring wedding experience, and I'm not sure why the bride and groom were so worried it would be an issue. Now for the final update. Hey y'all! Just wanted to share the over 1 year update to my story since there is actually an update to share. This is going to be pretty long. Situation recap. My other posts provide more context. It was a really bizarre situation. Over a year ago, my husband's friend asked him to be a groomsman, and my husband's ex, best friend of the bride, was a bridesmaid. I was not invited, and when my husband asked why, the groom informed him it was because my presence would make the bridesmaid slash ex uncomfortable. My husband explained how offensive that was, and that he wasn't going to attend if they were going to disrespect our own marriage like that. The groom was genuinely apologetic, and we believe he just didn't realize how taboo it was. We were pretty confident it was all the bride and her bridesmaid, and the groom was just clueless and went along with it. But anyway, the groom backpedaled and said I should definitely come, and my husband and I ended up deciding that I would attend the ceremony then leave, and my husband would get the formalities out of the way, pictures, cake cutting at the reception, toasts, etc. Then we would connect and have our own romantic evening. Wedding recap. Nothing crazy happened. The ceremony itself was low-key. The bride and groom did a receiving line at the end, so I took the opportunity to be kind. I congratulated them and expressed well wishes and told the bride she looked lovely and then moved right along. My husband went with the rest of the bridal party to have pictures taken and said it was uneventful. He and the ex didn't really speak. They had exchanged greetings prior to the ceremony, and it was all fine. He said the reception was a bit disorganized. By the time the bridal party got there, most everybody had already eaten their buffet dinner, so they went right into first dances and toasts and such, and the bridal party just ate as they were able. By the time the cake was cut and passed out, many people were leaving, so my husband just ate some cake, said his goodbyes, and headed back to me. The ex didn't approach him, and neither the bride nor groom said anything about it. Now for this week's developments. So here is the most recent interesting stuff. Shortly after the wedding, my husband's relationship with the groom became stilted. The groom would take days/weeks to respond to texts, and when he did, it was like a one-word answer type situation. Wouldn't even attempt to connect when we were in the area, etc. It was pretty crappy, but my husband took the, oh well, I tried, his loss mentality. Fast forward to this week, like literally 3 days ago, groom calls my husband out of the blue, saying he is getting divorced. He didn't share every single detail, but apparently his soon-to-be ex-wife had been acting like a crazy person from the time they got engaged up to the wedding, and he just let it go thinking it was just some bridezilla crap that would go away after the wedding. But she actually got worse after the wedding, was super manipulative and controlling to the point that she was dictating who he could and could not spend time with. So he filed for divorce, and actually seems happy and at peace with his decision. He and my husband have been talking a lot the last couple of days, and it seems like they're going to be able to be close friends again. From what the groom, ex-groom now I guess, has told us, it seems like the wedding drama was primarily the bride and the ex-girlfriend was just egging it on, rather than the other way around, which is what I had originally thought. But regardless, I am happy this poor guy's getting out of a relationship that was toxic at best, abusive at worst. And I am very happy that my husband has his friend back. The end. Oh, I remember reading your original post, so I totally appreciate the update. Glad there wasn't any drama at the wedding, and glad the ex-groom is doing what is best for him. Emotional abuse is no joke. No kidding. I feel really bad for the guy, but glad you reached back out. My husband will move heaven and earth to make sure his friend is okay. You handled the whole thing a lot better than I would have. I was really angry at your husband's friend reading through, so I am glad you shared about his situation. I have been in an emotionally abusive/manipulative relationship before, and it's really messed with the way I thought and interacted with others. Glad he is getting out of that and fixing relationships. Same. It casts a whole new light on the situation now that we know what was going on behind the scenes. But at least he was able to get out of that situation. Lots of people get trapped their whole lives. It's a good reminder to stay in touch to the extent you can when friends get into relationships with controlling, difficult people. Even minimal contacts can provide a lifeline and critical support when that person finally gets the courage to leave.